Money and profit is the inevitable byproduct of aligned growth and contribution that solves a deeply meaningful challenge in the world for others.
I'm a dream chaser. I want to do something different. And then the first thing you think of is, okay, what can I do that's going to make me the most amount of money as quickly as humanly possible? You're in it for the wrong reasons because you're probably not going to be willing to do what it takes. Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, number 969, How Can I Find a Balance Between External and Internal Results? Last week's live Q&A from our live podcast. Today, for episode number 970, it's got to be about more than just the money. Happy Friday. Hope you have had a wonderful, wonderful week. I had a coaching call the other day, and it was a very, I don't want to say a challenging call because it was challenging in a good way. And I think sometimes when I say challenging, I think I give off a tone of negativity. It was challenging in a good way. This client and I got on the phone, and the first thing he said was, Kev, I got to be honest, I don't even know if I want to do my podcast anymore. And I said, okay, let's talk about it. What's going on here? And just for context, this is a new client who I've been consulting with over the last month or so. And he said, I'm getting busier and I'm really thinking to myself, am I willing to do what it takes to grow this podcast and actually make money with it? Because I have a really good job. I'm financially stable. I have a great family. I have hobbies. I have other things I want to do. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to actually grow this if I'm willing to do what it takes. And I said, all right, well, give me some context of what have your other ventures been like in the past of business or speaking, coaching, all that. He said, well, I used to have a podcast. I think I got 600 episodes in, but I never made any money. And I said, okay, I'm taking money. Money is a through line. He said, I have this new business venture that might be profitable, and it's pretty easy to get started, and I know there's a way to make money pretty quickly. And I said, okay, money. There's another thing. And I said, what's the biggest downside of your podcast right now? What's the biggest sticking point? And he said, well, I'm just not making any money, and I don't think I can make money sustainably without doing one-on-one coaching and losing a bunch of my time. So if you're listening, you've heard me say the word money 5 or 6 times in that short 1-minute segment. That's the root of what we got to, is this person started the podcast out of a place of passion, but it very quickly transitioned into having and wanting to make money. Money became the necessity to keep going, and now it has been basically considered the measurement of success. And I said to him, you have to understand, if Alan and I started this for money, we would have made it 100 episodes, maybe. Probably not. We would have made it like 20 episodes. We would have made it to the first time where it was like, oh, it's going to cost us money to continue this podcast. We're out. So this is what I said to this person. You've heard me say this many times, probably. You got to get your P's in the right order. Many of us start something for profit, and we try to convince ourselves that it's for purpose, it's for passion. You have to figure out what you're passionate about and then stick in it long enough to make it profitable. And it's just this weird, difficult thing where if you start something for money and that's the outcome that you're doing it for, you're not going to get there most likely. Especially something like the podcast, speaking, coaching, that sort of industry. Yeah, if you start a construction company, obviously you have to go in with the presupposition that you're going to make money. That's important because you do need money in a business. But I find that either people think it's going to be way easier, or maybe it's the trending thing to do is to start a podcast or start a YouTube channel or start coaching or do online courses, whatever it may be. And then you get that reality check pretty quickly that, oh, this is going to be way harder than I thought. I think about it this way. There's a million different avenues to go down if you're just interested in making money. If the through line, if the intention of why you're doing what you're doing is to make money, there are a million different ways to do it. But if the intention is to impact people at a deep level, that is going to change your decisions in many, many different ways. It's going to take things off the table that you could have done before. It'll put things on the table that weren't necessarily options that presented themselves. And it was a very deep conversation. It was great. We got to the end and he said, honestly, I need time to think about this. I don't know if I really want to continue this because I don't know if I'm willing to do what it takes. And I said, I think you have to figure out what you actually want to do and what you're really, really, really passionate about and what you're really, really, really feeling pulled to as your purpose, and then figure out, okay, after that happens, then we form a new plan. It cannot be just measured on money. And this is coming from the guy who loves money and tracks finances every day. So right now, there are over 4 million total podcasts registered around the world. I would venture to guess, and Alan and I looked at the numbers and tried to crunch some numbers, that roughly 1% of them make money. And out of those 1%, I would say most of them, the vast majority, probably aren't making life-changing money. And if you're getting into something to make life-changing money, you're going to be in trouble because you're not going to make life-changing money until 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the line when you've already convinced yourself that you can't do it. But if you start that thing because of purpose, if you start that thing because of passion, you might pull through. And you might say, well, yeah, there was only 15 people at that speech and I did it for free, but 3 of those people came up to me after and said something I said really inspired them. It really motivated. It really shifted something inside of them. That's what I'm playing for. That's what I'm playing for. That's what I'm playing for. So if you're always relying on the money, if your through line of everything you do is based on the money, if your intention, if your measurement, if your ultimate goal is to make money doing what you're doing and you're just starting it, I just don't think you're going to win. That's my honest truth, because when things get challenging, which they will, you're going to check in and say, well, I haven't made any money. I'm not making any money. Where if you love what you're doing and you say, wow, I just feel so on purpose. I felt so passionate about that speech I gave today, or whatever it is for you, the dog shelter, I always go there. I just think it's a completely different life, and you're going to have the staying power if you're getting purpose along the way. If you're getting the result that you're in it for along the way, you're going to stay way longer versus wanting to win and the measurement being money and not getting it for the first 1, 2, 5, 10 years, you're probably going to quit. And we've seen it. We've seen it time and time again. And I know if I was in it for the money, we would not be at 970 episodes. I can assure you of that.
Kev, in the beginning of this, I think that I did come into podcasting. Before this, I had a podcast called Conversations Change Lives. Kevin was my first guest, and he had the Hyperconscious podcast. You've heard that story if you're a long-term listener of the show many times. I did go into this with the long-term focus. My slogan of my company was, what you'll never learn in school but desperately need to know. And I knew that I wouldn't make money right away. I didn't know how long it would take, and but I did know that it wouldn't be a ton right out of the gate. So let me explain this. So I was making almost $200,000 a year when I quit my corporate career. And I knew for sure that I wasn't going to jump right back to $200,000 because the compound effect of what I had done up to that point, it's not like if you think about it, you got 4 years of middle school, 4 years of high school, 4 years of college, and then an additional year and a half of college for my master's degree, and then a couple years of corporate to get to the nearly $200,000 mark. I'm not just going to quit that and suddenly make that much. And I knew that. I did have that understanding mathematically. Kev, when you started a podcast, what was your perspective on like when we would make money or how we would make money? Like, just be honest and transparent. Like, what did you think?
I don't even think I was thinking about it because when I started, I still had my job. So when I first started, I was interviewed on Alan's show, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to start a podcast because that was awesome. And I think in the beginning, it was just, I was working, I was making good money, so I didn't really think about the money. I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know anything about the industry. So I think when you and I partnered and I left my job, that's when I really started to think about it. And I didn't think it would take as long. I mean, it took us, I really wish I knew the exact amount of time. I'll have to find that out at some point.
It took longer than I thought, too.
It was probably, like a year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah, at least.
Right?
And here's the thing, too. I want everyone to understand this. I don't mean to interrupt you, Kev, but, we had a $45,000 or $46,000 February. We had made like almost $50,000 in 1 month. And that sounds awesome, and it is. I don't want to take anything from that. But you got to understand that Kevin and I, at one point, were coaching for free. Like, I have almost 30 clients from all over the world now that pay me a lot of money to help them succeed. I coached for free for like quite some time. And I think that people just don't get the long term. I think that's what this always comes down to, is like, if you're looking for quick money, you're in the wrong industry when it comes to podcasting or personal development in general. Money cannot be your number one focus, but it can't be your number 10 either. It's mastery, it's impact, and it's profitability. There's three things that you need to be focused on if you're listening to the show, in my opinion. Number one, maximizing your own potential. What is the value that you bring to the marketplace? What is the skill that you have that other people, quite frankly, don't, or that maybe they do, but you're better or unique in some way? What's your competitive advantage? Number two, using that skill to help others. And I wrote this down. Your primary focus in your career or your business should be on solving a compelling problem that is causing people massive pain. Solving a compelling problem that is causing people massive pain. So long time ago, 7, almost 8 years now, I get in that car accident. And I evaluate my life and I evaluate the world and I'm contemplating everything. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I found self-improvement. Self-improvement, in my opinion, is the solution to all human suffering. So the root cause of all human suffering, in my opinion, you've probably heard me say this, is two things. Number one is ignorance. In other words, we just don't know any better. We're still putting leeches on our skin because we think we're sick and we think that's going to cure it. Okay, that's ignorance. We still think the world is flat. We don't, but that analogy. Or apathy. We just don't care enough. So the root cause of all human suffering, in my opinion, comes down to either some form of ignorance or some form of apathy. We either don't know enough yet or we don't care enough yet. And they're linked, because if you don't know what's happening to the environment, how can you care? And so that's where I went. What is the root cause of human suffering? What was the root cause of my suffering growing up? And Kevin did the same thing with the Hyperconscious podcast. Conversations Change Lives was created because I wanted to figure out what made the difference. How did I succeed when most of the people that I grew up with didn't succeed at that same level? Some people, were very, very unhappy and unfulfilled. How did I make it out? And Kevin changed the way you think, changed the way you act, changed the way you live. We were the people that we needed. We wanted to be the people that we needed. And still to this day, if Kevin and Alan were still little kids listening to this show would guide them out of their darkness, 100%. And so we are solving a problem that is causing massive pain. Ignorance and apathy is causing massive pain. And so every single day, we are here on these microphones trying to solve a problem. We're not here to make money. We make money as a byproduct of using our skills and our time and our energy and our effort to solve a real problem for other humans. And then they pay us in proportion to that. Honestly, not even in proportion to that. Technically, it's a 1-to-10 ratio. So if we give 10 times the value, you're in a good business. I think that you get compensated 1 times back. And that's a whole nother podcast episode. Elon Musk says you get paid in proportion to the difficulty of the problems you solve. Not anyone can start a podcast as well as Kevin and I on holistic self-improvement. If they could, we wouldn't be paid as much as we are. It's not easy to succeed in this industry. It's very, very difficult. That's why we'll be paid very well for it. It's not easy to coach a business that went from 0 to hundreds of millions of dollars in a very short amount of time. That's a very challenging thing to do, and not a lot of people can do it. That's why we get paid so much. So I think it's just important to understand, if money is your goal, you have it backwards. Money needs to be third. It's mastery, it's impact, and it's profitability. Profitability is third for a reason. And like Kevin said, I really like the 3 Ps: passion, purpose, and profit. You have to find what you're passionate about and create a purpose to solve a problem so that then you can profit. And it needs to be in that order. Kevin, myself, Emilia, and Bianca were at a seminar once, and they put the purpose of business is making money, and I was done after that. They have the core belief wrong. It's not true. The purpose of money is not, the purpose of business is not to make money. If that was the case, I would not be in the self-improvement industry. The purpose of business is to solve a problem that has a deeply meaningful, positive impact in the world. If your goal is to make money, sell cigarettes. It might be easier. Don't do that. That's not why we're here. The purpose of this podcast is not to make money. The purpose of this podcast is to change people's lives in a positive way. And yes, we have to make money in order to reinvest in that mission.
What's happening, guys? My name is Alex, and I am a professional videographer who runs a production company out of Halifax, Nova Scotia. The one thing that I love about working with Alan is that right away he was able to come in and set up a system for me that makes sure that I am taking charge of my time and I'm taking the actionable steps that I need in order to progress towards my goals on a day-to-day basis. He's always been great at giving me the information that I need exactly at the right time in order to progress to the next level when it comes to my business. And overall, I think he's just a great personality. When I get off the phone with him, I always find that I am energized. I know exactly where I need to focus my attention in order to progress, and I am getting the most out of what I do with my time.
Well, and the analogy or the example I always use is you start something because you love it, and then you find a way to stay in it. Where a lot of myself in the past, my old job, I did my job because it paid so well, and then I tried to convince myself that I was passionate about it. And it's just a different life. I mean, when you love what you do, and this will sound cliche, and obviously when you're broke, it doesn't feel this way, but when you love what you do, getting paid for it is an extra benefit. Now, yes, it has to make money to be sustainable, but I just think that if you're right now in this moment, really think about this. If you're right now in this moment thinking, okay, I'm a dream chaser, I want to do something different, and then the first thing you think of is, okay, what can I do that's going to make me the most amount of money as quickly as humanly possible? You're in it for the wrong reasons because you're probably not going to be willing to do what it takes. That's my through line of this episode. People always say, how did you, and Alan, I'm sure you get this on other shows all the time, how did you guys grow to actually make money with a podcast? And it was like, we just focused on value. We just focused on delivering value. And I said also, Alan understands business at a very deep level, and I've learned sales really well, but it's because we had to do that in order to keep doing what we were doing. That's the thing. I mean, we wanted to keep helping people, so we had to learn how to make money. That's kind of how it happened. It happened that we loved what we were doing so much that we both went all in on it and was like, well, if we're going to do this, we have to find a way to make a living. And now we're doing very well, which is awesome. But that also goes hand in hand with how much we worked on ourselves. If you want to be the best at what you do, you will get paid more money. If you want to impact more people than other people, you will get paid more money. And it's just the through line, the intention is going to determine your approach. It's going to determine your work ethic. It's going to determine so many things. It's how long you're willing to do it for. And again, the conversation I had with this client was not a bad one. It was very good. It helped me understand these things at a different level, and he might take a different approach now based on that. But I do know a lot of people, they start shows to make money. And if you're starting something with the end goal of, I'm going to make X amount of money and then dip, you're not going to make that kind of money. You can't start something with the goal of ending it. It's very challenging to do that. It's very challenging to have your exit plan when you're forming your beginning strategy. It doesn't really work that way. There's so much time that goes into it that you really have to be in it for the long run. And if you're in it for the short dollar, you won't be able to. That's my through line here.
I have a one-liner, and then we'll go. I'm going to try to say this well. I want to try to say this in one sentence and challenge myself. Money and profit is the inevitable byproduct of aligned growth and contribution that solves a deeply meaningful challenge in the world for others. And a business is a group of individuals that have decided to solve a problem in the world and to do it in a profitable way that's good for everyone, not just themselves. At least that's what I think a 21st century holistic business should be about. And we did a team training this past weekend with the entire team where, Kevin had said, I don't know if everyone understands the long-term vision of what we're trying to do here. And some people do, and I take nothing from that, but we have a very, very holistic business that isn't just good for Kevin and I. It's good for Kevin and I. It's good for the team. It's good for the listeners. It's good for the world. It's good for the environment. It's good for our clients and customers. It's good. It's holistic. It's some companies are good for the owners, but not the team. Some companies are good for the owners and the team, but not the environment. Some companies are good for the environment, but the owners are losing. So it needs to be a holistic thing, and I think that we weren't taught any of this, so I'm grateful we did this episode.
Likewise, my friend, likewise. I get fired up. I always get fired up when we talk about money. And I think the through line, or I said through line about 100 times in this episode, the root cause of that, Alan, is because I made it. I had financial success, and I was miserable because I thought that was going to fix all the problems, and that's what I dedicated those 5 years of my life to. And I've dedicated the next 5 years of my life to this, and I'm way more fulfilled than I ever was before. And I just want to make sure that people get to make their decisions based on an understanding of what's real. There's the quote that money doesn't buy happiness, but everybody wants to find out for themselves. And obviously, I think that's part of it. You do have to have the awareness of how you react. But Alan and I always try to use our pain and our lessons to help you avoid some pain and avoid having to learn those lessons on your own. Next Level Nation, if you are listening to this, maybe you're new, maybe you didn't have the opportunity to do this last month. So last month, we had a giveaway where everybody who left us a review, and thank you to everybody who did, everybody who left us a review, it screenshotted it and sent it to Alan and myself, whether it's email, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want to get it to us. We entered them in a drawing to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Shout out to Nick. Nick won the $100 Amazon gift card for last month. So it is now May. We are going to be doing the same thing. So as of the day of recording this, it is May 9th. Up until the last day of May, if you leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice, screenshot it, send it to Alan and or myself. We will enter you into the drawing, and we will, at the end of the month, pick somebody. We will email you a $100 Amazon gift card. No questions asked. You can ask Nick, since Nick won. And again, we appreciate it. It helps us find more people like you. When you buy something on Amazon, you look at the reviews. Podcasts are the same way, so it helps us find more next-level humans like you to help.
Nick not only screenshotted that review, but he also sent us a really awesome, kind email. We really appreciate that. So please reach out. We love to meet our listeners. We absolutely adore it. Speaking of meeting our listeners, there was a young woman, shout out to Jessie, who took a chance on us. She joined the very first group coaching. This has to be at least a year and a half ago now, which is wild.
Yeah, it is wild.
Yeah, over a year ago. And she just signed back up for Group 7. She reached out to Kev. She said, how do I get in Group 7? We are so pumped. So we've got some experts, group coaching experts that are going to be in Group 7. If you want in to Group 7, our 10-word description for this podcast is, let's see if I can do it, Kev. All right? Heart-driven, but no BS, holistic self-improvement for dream chasers.
Strong work.
Ooh, if that is you, group coaching is going to help you be more consistent and get more clarity than you ever have before, achieve more in 90 days than you ever have. We've got a lot of people coming back for group coaching because that's igniting a fire of a group together inside their life that they maybe never had before. So if you feel alone in this journey, you don't have to be. Group coaching is super affordable. We have a 6-month payment plan. It's less than you think. Go to the landing page. It's the link in the show notes, and Group 7 is going to be fire.
Next Level Nation, tomorrow it is Saturday for episode number 971, How to Stay Focused in an Overwhelming World. So we'll talk about that. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you at NLU. We do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Please reach out.